Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. This was actually one of your guys' ideas in the comments down below. We are going to go through my 10 oldest foundation reviews that earned a B- grade or higher and see where are they today, how are they holding up, do I still use them, etc. And I've got them listed in the order of oldest to newest, not best to worst. So let's get into this. I love this idea. Thank you for suggesting it. I think I'm also going to do something similar with, like, I don't know, my best foundation reviews and where are they today, like all of the A's or something like that. Something like that. Let me know in the comments what variations you would like to see. Let's kick this off with the oldest from October 2016. Originally earned a B+ grade. It is the Kat Von D, which is now KVD Vegan Beauty. They are no longer affiliated with Kat Von D, but at this time it was Kat Von D's brand. It's the Lock-It foundation. I wear this in shade Light 44 Cool, and where has this been since I originally reviewed it? The last time I wore it was 2 Halloweens ago, and I had chosen to wear this one because I was wearing a mask for part of my costume, and I wasn't going to be wearing the mask all night, so I had to, it was for the Wildlife Center of Virginia. They have a gala auction fundraiser every year, and this happened to be on Halloween weekend, so was it 3 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago. I chose to wear this because this is one foundation that it definitely stays in place. I had a mask touching my face for probably 2 hours. I finally took the mask off. It survived the heat of wearing the mask, my sweating, the mask sitting on my nose. It barely needed a powder touch-up. Those are the kind of scenarios when I pick this foundation, when I know I'm going to be in extreme situations, and otherwise it's just a little bit too heavy for me to wear on a day-to-day basis. It's not super comfortable and it's a little bit drying, but when you have to look nice and you know you're going to be in a situation that is kind of extreme, it's reliable. I don't wear it very often, but I do reach for it when I know I've got a situation like wearing a big black raven's mask. Like I was a raven for Halloween, and it worked really well. Next on the list, originally earned an A-. I reviewed this in November 2016. It is the L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover Foundation. One thing I really like about this is it's a great shade match for me in the wintertime. It is a heck of a lot of coverage, but it's super, super, super lightweight. I wore it a ton when it first came out. Then I kind of got out of the full coverage mood. So I haven't worn it a ton recently. I have this in shade 301 Classic Ivory. I don't wear it a lot now just because I have so many foundations and I've been in a very glowy phase of my preferences lately. But I will say, total opinion has not changed. I absolutely love this one. Excellent coverage, very lightweight, super reasonably priced, and in the wintertime it is a very good shade match for me. Can't really pull it off in the summer. It's a little bit too light for me. I don't intentionally get sun in the summer. I wear sunscreen on my face every single day, but I'm not as good about wearing it on my arms, and I'm already getting, you can kind of tell the color. I am already about a half shade darker, even though I'm bad. I need to get better at wearing sunscreen on my neck and my arms, but yeah, so in the summer it's a little too light for me, but thumbs up, totally recommend it. Next up, also from L'Oreal, I reviewed this in December 2016. It originally earned a B. It is the L'Oreal True Match, and I have this in a few different shades actually. These are just the 2 that I grabbed. This one's just good. It's reliable. It's a nice everyday kind of a foundation. It's really inexpensive. There are tons of shades. The shade N3, this one, is a perfect undertone for me when I'm self-tanning, and that's pretty rare. My undertone changes when I self-tan. It gets a little bit more warm, but it's not quite warm. This is still a neutral undertone, but it leans just a tiny bit toward the warmth, and that works really well for me. This is the shade N1, Neutral 1. It's my winter shade. I've got N2 somewhere, and I think I've got a couple of the cool shades as well. I just like it. You know, it's just an easy blendable. You can get, you know, light to medium coverage depending how you apply it. I still absolutely recommend it if you're just looking for a good staple, you know, a good staple foundation. Next up, this one was reviewed January 2017, originally earned a B, and it is from Wet n Wild. It is the Photo Focus foundation, and I wore this a lot for a long time. It smells like paint. That is the one thing that I don't like about it. I will say, since they released the dewy version, I prefer the dewy version. It doesn't smell quite like paint the way this one does, and I just like the finish a little bit better. This one tends to crack along smile lines just a little bit, but it wears really well, and I will still say I like them both, but today I would probably pick up the dewy one instead. These are both in Shell Ivory, and you can see that they are pretty close to each other shade-wise. So whatever your shade was in the original Photo Focus, will probably be the same in the Photo Focus Dewy. I'm just on a dewy kick, but I'd still recommend Photo Focus. It's another one that wears well throughout the day, you know, has some minor issues if you've got maturing skin, but no big deal. Super cheap, isn't it? Like $5. It's very inexpensive. Next up, originally reviewed in March 2017, it earned a B its first time through. It is from Missha. This is the Perfect Cover BB Cream. Excellent coverage for a BB cream. I would call it more like foundation levels of coverage with a BB cream kind of a feel. I would say my grade for this would probably be a little bit higher if I graded it today. This is shade 21, and this is like an amazing shade match in the winter for me. It's a little too light for me in the summer, but I actually just tossed my original tube of this and I picked up 2 more Costco, and I just checked a few days ago. They still had it. Costco has these, a 2-pack. I want to say it's like $20. I can't remember the price. I will link it down below. But they've got a very nice deal on 2-pack of them, so I picked that up. So I've got 2 tubes now, brand new, fresh. I probably should try another shade, but I didn't want to experiment and have 2 tubes of the wrong shade if I picked up a different shade. This also mixes really well, so I can take this and mix it with a darker shade and it works perfectly. This also has good skincare benefits, and you know, I'd probably, this might be one that I might even like bump it up to an A- because it just wears really well. It's got great benefits. I think there's only 6 shades if I remember correctly. It's limited in shade range, but it's good. It's really good. Next up, MAC. Every MAC foundation I've ever tried is awesome on my skin. My skin loves MAC foundations. I actually do have Face and Body, and now it's been a year since I bought it because I bought it in Ireland last summer, and I still haven't gotten around to reviewing it because you guys were requesting it, and I just never got it, and then I did get it now. It's a year old. I will review it one of these days. Let me know. Do you still want to see it? I will if you want to. This one is MAC Mineralize, probably my favorite of all of them. I have Studio Sculpt, Studio Fix Fluid, and Mineralize, and I have Face and Body, but I haven't tried it yet. So I also like to keep a MAC foundation swatched in my swatches when I'm comparison swatching, because a lot of people seem to know what their MAC shade is, and so I can give it to you guys for comparison. Mineralize is nice, slightly dewy, really nice in terms of smoothing out texture pores. It just looks really pretty on the skin. It's another one of those like no fuss, you just know it's gonna work. They have tons of shades, so you can really get the right undertones and you can get a good match. Sometimes you have to go straight through MAC if you want all of the options of undertones, because they don't all get carried at like Ulta or any, you know, department stores, but this is probably my favorite of all of them. This lives in my everyday foundation drawer, so it is to this day still in my rotation of things that I wear on a daily basis. Only a couple of these are actually in my, to this day, daily basis in my daily foundation drawer, but MAC Mineralize is one of them. Next up, you guys see this one swatched all the time. Guess what it is? This one was originally reviewed March 2017. It earned an A. It was probably my very first solid A, which would mean it would be a 94 or higher % grade. It is from Este Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. This foundation is the one that I put into any shade matcher tools, like on Sephora's website or the foundation.com website. Not because it's my perfect match. I really pick it because A, it's in almost all of those because it's been around for a while and it's a very popular foundation. B, it is an undertone that is something I can wear year-round. Even if I have a little sun or I have no sun at all, I can still get away with it. So whatever it is about this shade, it can work year-round on me. So I figure if I match to this with other brands, I'm probably going to get as close as I can get to something that will work for me, because those matching things are never actually completely accurate anyway. But I love this stuff. This is my go-to. I fell in love with it originally, so obviously it got a great review. Then that summer I had a week-long conference in Las Vegas, and it was like 100 degrees every day, like melt your face off hot. And I tend to walk everywhere when I'm in Vegas typically. Now that I'm getting cranky, I might Uber now because it's too hot out. But that summer I was still walking everywhere, and this stuff, I could go all day and I just needed to blot my sweat. Like, I didn't need to fix my makeup. It was fantastic. That is when I fell in love. And so that summer, one day, I went to one of the Sephora's in Las Vegas, and I had been at the conference all day. It was after like 4 p.m., like after the conference but before dinner. I went to the mall and went to Sephora, and I walked in. I was wearing this, and I was looking at foundations, of course, because I'm just obsessed. And the girl comes up to me and says, "Oh, your foundation looks great. What are you wearing?" And I'm like, I just sweated, like pouring nasty sweat all the way. Like, you got me. You got me. I know you got my back. I'm actually wearing it right now, mixed with the Estee Lauder Double Wear Nude, which is also on this list. It came another year later in my reviews, but, or maybe not. Maybe a few months. Yeah, this stuff is just, it's pretty much holy grail level. Then, the next one I don't have to show you, because when I reviewed it, I used a sample that I got from Sephora. It was the Marc Jacobs Remarkable. This is March 2017. It originally earned a B. I didn't purchase it because it just wasn't good enough. It was full coverage. I really enjoyed the coverage of it, but it just wasn't good enough to spend the money. You know, it was a little crackly, a little bit clingy on dry skin. So I skipped it. Next up, it is now June 2017, and I reviewed the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. It earned a B-. The reason I hardly wore that one was because the shade was actually shade matched to me in Sephora. She convinced me to get a warm undertone shade. You know, the lighting in most of those stores is so bad. How can they even shade match you if you don't have daylight balance lighting? Anyway, she matched me to a very yellow undertoned foundation, and I felt like I looked like my liver was failing. But I did make a very nice trade of that bottle of foundation for, I think it was a Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette. I still have the palette, whichever one it was. So I was able to at least get it into the hands of someone who would enjoy it, because it was just the wrong color for me, and I just don't like a warm undertone on me. It just doesn't work. So I did like the foundation itself, could not wear the one that I had. and it's really kind of expensive, so at a B minus, it just wasn't good enough for me to purchase it in the proper shade. You know, not when I have all these other A's in my life. Next up, MAC Studio Sculpt. This is one of my other MAC favorites. I do love this foundation. This tube, this is NW15. This is the one I'm always swatching. This is my most regular swatched MAC because this one, it's my summer shade, but I can pull it off in the winter if I need to. I also have, so my Mineralize shade, did I mention it? I probably didn't. This one I have in NW13, and then the Studio Fix Fluid I have in NW10. NW10 and 13 are like my definite winter shades. If I have any sun, they're too pale for me. This is more my summer shade, you know, if you compare the two. These two shades mixed together work really well for me, so this is just a little too dark in the winter. This is just a little too light in the summer. I like this foundation because it's not too dewy, but it's not matte. It's just a really nice natural finish, but it has a good amount of coverage. And you know I prefer more coverage to less coverage. I know I don't have a ton to cover up, but I cannot stand being able to see my sunspots or my freckles. That's just a thing from being teased about my freckles as a kid. I don't want to see them. So that's just my thing. It's what I do. But I definitely enjoy this foundation. I can't wear this one anymore, this particular tube of it, because this one has gone off. It's a little bit bad, but the shade hasn't changed, so I still use it for swatches. I need to repurchase it someday. You know, MAC is one of the one brands that I like to be in a MAC store to buy stuff. I don't buy a ton of MAC, but I do like their complexion products, and I'll probably replace it next time I can go to a MAC store. Might be a while, but I do still recommend this one. Then we get our Este Lauder Double Wear Nude Water Fresh. This one was reviewed in August of 2017. It earned an A just like its sibling. Like I said, I'm wearing a mix, 1 pump of this, 1 pump of these Stay in Place. I just really like these foundations. The reason I mix it is because this one's just a smidge lighter than, they're both 1C, 1 Cool Bone. But you can tell this one's just a little darker. This one is just a little bit lighter. Combined, they're a great shade for me. You know, when I only have a tiny little bit of sun, tiny bit of sun. This is a super lightweight foundation. I like a little bit more coverage than this, but it's great for no makeup days, like, you know, no makeup kind of days. It's also great if you want less coverage than this, but a little more than this, which is what you get like this. I just love it. It's a great foundation. This is the other one of these that lives in my everyday drawer, my rotation, my everyday rotation. So here's the two from this time period that still live in my everyday rotation. Last on my list is from Smashbox, and this used to be in my everyday rotation. Now it's just I have so many foundations that it's not. But it's the Studio Skin. I have 3 different shades of it. This is the September 2017 I reviewed it. It earned a B+ initially. It's probably still a B+. I would argue maybe an A- because it was I wore it enough to buy 3 shades of it. So the 3 shades I have, my self-tanning shade is 2.1. My winter shade is 1.0, and then I've also got 2.12, which is lighter, even though the number is just a little bit different. This one is more of a pink undertone. This one's more neutral and just a smidge lighter, but you see I got a bunch of use out of this shade. It's just pretty reliable. It's hydrating. It works well when my skin is feeling very, very dry, and it wears a really long time. And it's got nice, solid medium coverage, maybe even pushing full if you build it up. It's nice. It's just hydrating. It probably would still be in my everyday foundation drawer if I didn't have 200 foundations to pick from. It's just that I have so many, and it's just one of those older ones that it fell out of favor, just not because of its quality, just because I've got newer, pretty shinies that I am obsessed with. There you have it. Those are more than 10. I did a couple more because a few of these I don't use anymore, so those are the foundations, the oldest foundation reviews I've got that were a B- or higher. What should I do next? What would you like to see digging through the archives? I will get together any variations of lists that you would like to see. As always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.